there's a lot of paperwork. You got to pull the permits, and a lot of decisions are being made. And we deal with snow as well. So we left snow before we came here.
Yeah, we forgot about that snow. We're talking.
Well, and when you're renovating a home on the show, this season's going to be really cool because we actually have everything between like a $40,000 renovation all the way up to a $700,000 renovation. So there's something in there for everybody.
Yeah, we're talking to the boys here. They're called the Boise Boys from Boise, Idaho. You see them on HGTV. Second season starts, we hope, at the end of April. You can go to hgtv.com and you can read all about them. Very entertaining. I like it. We got one. You actually are from Idaho.
Yes,
we
sir.
got a Texas boy, and you've been you left Texas 10 years ago. How is it? Give me the living in Idaho compared to someone who grew up here.
Well,
in
we
Texas.
actually have 4 seasons in Idaho. Mm-hmm. Compared to summer
Pretty
and
much.
that 1 week of fall that we had down here in Texas.
That is a big one right now. And you do have to deal with this thing called snow, which, once in a blue moon we see some in the north part of our state, but I bet there's certainly a lot of snow.
Well, you should have seen Clint on the first episode that we did. We actually had to get the house done for the show, and it wouldn't get warm.
Well, they called it Snowmageddon. It was the most snow that Boise's ever had on record. Just happened to be the year we did our pilot.
So Clint had this amazing idea, actually, because we had to figure it out, is he tarped the entire house. Mm-hmm. The entire house, heated it up with all these heaters, and then painted it with like a two foot gap.
Yeah, you can't paint in zero.
I guess you can't. Those are elements that you don't have to fight here in Texas, but you do have to kind of change your mindset when you're doing it. We talk about how behind the scenes are very fun. People want to know what your real life like and how long does it take from start to bottom. Getting a show like this, and obviously, I mean, how do you even start something like this? Do you call a producer? Did you just hey, I got a crazy idea for the camera?
I mean, we weren't looking for. We didn't even plan on it. Luke's just really good at social media.
Yeah.
And when we got together, starting to do houses, the production companies have these people that locate new shows.
Sure.
And they said, "Man, we're looking for an odd couple in the Pacific Northwest." And
here we are.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Happened, but it took a long time. They did a sizzle reel for us, and HGTV looks at like 3,500 of those a year.
Wow.
And
pretty crazy.
we just kind of made the stratifications, and finally, there's the show.
And we ended up signing with the same company who produces Fixer Upper, actually, just because they do a great job of not doing fake drama, but really just following your lives and your families.
How has this changed your business, but also your lives, being on HGTV?
We're just I don't know. I just working ourselves working ourselves fast and furious. That's how it's changed it even more so.
Oh my goodness! So the last thing I'm gonna do, people on the radio can't see this. I'm slipping them my business card. I want you to call your fixer-uppers and people like that because you need a technology guy with a big hair who doesn't have a big Texas accent who come in and will help you pimp out those homes. Okay?
Swoop on in and help us out.
Yeah, it's the Boise. I'll move to Boise. I don't care. It's the boys. It's the three of them.
Fastest growing city in America.
It is. It is very, very big. Listen, you guys are a blast. It's so nice meeting your person, and I know you are off here to do seminar number 1 at 1 o'clock. And folks, if you're not here yet, at the Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe, they'll be on stage at 3 o'clock, and you can ask them anything you want. Take pictures of them. They love this stuff. It's good seeing you, and congrats on your success. What a great story.
Thanks so much, man.
It's the Boise Boys.
Good to be back in Texas.
That's it. All right, hold on. Seriously, I'm giving you my card. I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be famous. Thanks to Tony Witt, it's going to be big. It is good. Hey, congrats on everything. Let me know if I can help you out. Yeah. Build your homes. I'll come in. I'll pimp out the technology over here, too. Yeah. All right, as we get one more picture over here, we're about ready to wind up, and I want to thank Shannon for keeping us on the air here, but also Walter and the gang. He comes over here strong, and he makes sure that we are broadcasting. It's kind of a yeoman effort to make things to ensure that we are still live here on the radio, remote, even as far as Conroe. And these guys are off. Great seeing you. Appreciate it. You guys are too fun. I love it. Thank you. Let me know if I can help you. Texas boy in Idaho. I like that. Even though we're off the radio show, the entire Montgomery County Human Rights last, I believe, at 6 o'clock tonight. We are also here tomorrow on Sunday. Check it out at MontgomeryCountyHomeAndGarden.com. As I hear music in my ear, I guess that's Shannon trying to get me out of here. Continue to listen to this wonderful station. I will be here next week, too, talking about some other stuff. But follow me on Twitter at High Tech Texan, and I continue to put some fun pictures on our Instagram at GoGarthGo. For everybody who's been a part of this, and including our title sponsor, Prime Eagle Energy, HTP is the promo code. We thank you for tuning in. I'm going to go find some place to eat up here in Conroe. But other than that, my show is over.
KPRC Houston. we've been pretty lucky today in terms of not having many accidents, but construction delays, that's a different story. 610 northbound still very heavy now, stretching pretty much all the way from Beechnut up to Post Oak. Southbound also seeing delays now from Hempstead down past Woodway. That is just the normal slowdowns. And we also have delays inbound on 225 moving towards the East Sam. That is shut down and traffic is heavy back from East Boulevard. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is sponsored by ToyotaofKaty.com. It's only at Toyota of Katy.
When you think Camry, think Toyota of Katy. Complimentary oil changes and tire.
News. President Trump going after congressional Democrats who want to expand their investigation into the president's business dealings following this week's testimony by former Trump attorney and fixer Michael Cohen.
So they don't have anything with Russia. There's no collusion. So now they go and morph into, let's inspect every deal he's ever done. We're going to go into his finances. We're going to check his deals. We're going to check. These people are sick. They're sick.
The president addressing the Conservative Political Action Committee conference in Maryland, and the president wowing the crowd by predicting victory in the 2020 election. A lot of Democrats lining up to try and challenge the president next year. One of them, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, holding his first rally today in his hometown of Brooklyn.
The principles of our government will be based on justice, on economic justice, on social justice, on racial justice.
Sanders bills himself as a Democratic socialist. He ran for president in 2016, losing the nomination fight to Hillary Clinton. The U.S. moving one step closer to returning to manned spaceflight with a launch this morning. Fox's Carmen Roberts with that.
Ignition, liftoff.
NASA and Elon Musk's SpaceX launched the first privately built rocket and spacecraft designed to carry astronauts to the International Space Station.
The Dragon 2 spacecraft flying in space for the first time.
The Dragon flying without a crew on its maiden voyage.
The Dragon capsule carried a test dummy named Ridley, named in honor of the lead character in the movie Alien. It should reach the International Space Station tomorrow. This is Fox News.
Fox Nation is the place for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. New opinion shows from Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, and Tommy Lahren you can only get by signing up for Fox Nation. Plus, the real stories behind the headlines. Documentaries on Chappaquiddick, Jimmy Hoffa, and more that you'll only find on Fox Nation. More of the opinion done right you crave? It's on Fox Nation. Documentaries and specials you can't get anywhere else? They're on Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com today and sign up now for Fox Nation. Opinion done right now.
Tucker Carlson.
There's just so much barking and noise and yelling. Our role is to take 3 steps back and discern what really matters.
Sean Hannity.
The most important thing that we do, we are looking out for the forgotten men and women in this country.
Laura Ingraham.
They're going to get a straight shooter, no holds barred. I'm not going to cut people slack.
Fox is the one place where dissent is allowed.
We have voices. We won't be silent.
Who controls my voice? Nobody.
Fox News Channel. Real news, real honest opinion.
4 New Jersey high school students are under arrest charged with hacking their school's computer system in Jersey City.
The district says they changed their grades and possibly the grades of at least 10 of their friends. The suspects are all boys ranging in age from 15 to 17. Police say each of the students is facing several charges, including accessing disclosing data. Authorities are also looking into a similar grade-changing incident they say they may have been involved in during last school year.
Teachers were told to change their passwords and to no longer use computers that the students had access to. Reporting from Jersey City, Antoine Lewis, Fox News.
Democrats once again taking President Trump to task for declaring a national emergency in order to secure funding for a border wall. New Mexico Senator Tom Udall delivering his party's weekly media address.
I can tell you all that the president's rhetoric about our border isn't based in reality. There is no national security emergency at the border. We have the lowest number of undocumented immigrants living in our country in over a decade.
The president declared an emergency after Congress refused to give him the money he was requesting for the wall. Snow pounding the northeast this morning with a second storm hitting out west and eventually heading east. Fox meteorologist Mike Reichmuth.
Throughout the day today, pulls in towards the Four Corners states. A lot of snow across parts of Colorado, maybe 30 to 40 inches. Then we'll see the snow across the Central Plains. And then Sunday night into Monday, another snowstorm comes in across the Northeast.
The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the fatal crash of a Tesla in Florida. The car hitting a truck making a left turn, killing the Tesla's 50-year-old driver. The circumstance is similar to a Tesla crash 3 years ago when the vehicle was on autopilot. No word on whether the autopilot system was engaged in this latest accident. Both those accidents in Florida. I'm Ron Stern. This is Fox News.
Commitment. Complimentary oil changes, tire rotations, and service loaners with every Toyota purchased for lifetime of ownership.
If it's a deal you're chasing, exit I-10 and Mason. It's only at Toyota of Katy.
Plans for 3 ingredients.
Yeah, but it's how you cook it on the fire. It's how you cook it on the fire. It's all in the wrist.
It's like James saying, I make the best ice water in the world, dude.
You have to cup the ice, shave it, shaken not stirred.
Watch me make toast. Amazing at toast. And ramen.
James Simpson and Chad Pilby.
On KPRC 950.
Opinions provided on The Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on The Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
Big problem. Dick.
Spicy adventure with myself, Eric Dick, Chris Carmona, and Denise Peterson for it's going to be a very interesting show today. I'm very happy you guys tuned in, or watching me live on Facebook at Dick Walfer. That is on Twitter and Instagram, and at Eric D. Dick on Facebook. And guys, I guess let's just dive into it.
Well, first of all, Vic, you gotta get some more energy, man. We're excited.
It's Texas Independence Day. That's what I was going to dive into. Today's Texas Independence Day. It's March 2nd, 1836 is whenever, Texas Independence Day happened. That was 183 years ago.
That's a long time.
It is a long
183, time. But it seems like time just flies by.
Now,
we just gained our independence like last week.
What I find interesting is a lot of people don't realize that, if their family's been here a long time, they probably do have some connection to, the Republic of Texas or the founders of Texas. For myself, I didn't know I was, related to, the Republic, some of the original founders of Texas. One of it being the original accolade of one of Sam Houston's colonies, which is Tumlinson. And I didn't know that till I started looking on Ancestry and doing actually. So yeah, let me ask you,
because you brought this up about maybe 6 to 8 months ago, maybe a year ago now, that you discovered this stuff through My Ancestry or the DNA stuff. So how does that work? Because I see a lot of people saying they found relatives, cousins, parents that they thought they didn't know they were adopted, all through this registry. How does that work? Like, how do they match up everybody's DNA? And isn't there some privacy concerns?
So it isn't really matching up DNA. This was just going through just history, and my family had it up to a certain point, and then I was able to kind of go through other people's timelines and that type of stuff to find it even further. I mean, I knew we were related to a Darst, Jacob Darst, who fought in the Alamo. I knew that, but I didn't know that we were part of the original 300, and that the very first casualty of the Texas Rangers was actually one of my grandfathers.
When you say casualty of the Texas Rangers, means he was like a bad guy who got caught?
No, he was an accolade. He was the very first mayor of one of Sam Houston's colonies.
Okay,
and he got killed. Indians killed him because at that time, people died. I mean, there was a lot of violence.
There was a lot of bloodshed back then.
There was a lot of bloodshed. So he was the very first death If you look at the Texas Rangers, it'll talk about John Tumlinson, and he was the very first death of the Texas Rangers. That's who they say that.
So does this mean that you are Texas royalty?
I wouldn't say Texas royalty, but
But why not? I mean, if you're one of the descendants from before Texas gained its freedom, and you had ancestors who fought in this battle, how does that not make you Texas royalty?
I wouldn't. I don't think my people would. I don't think my relatives would think of it that way at all. I think if you kind of go into them, the Tumlinsons, which is really interesting. They have a really interesting history, and they're tied with the Come and Take It canon. I mean, when I say tied, like
the one from Gonzales?
Yeah, the Battle of Gonzales. That's pretty much their canon. They signed for it. They took care of it. That's the Tumlinson family. You look at Captain James Jackson Tumlinson. Like almost every battle in Texas history, he was a part of, or Tumlinson was a part of fighting in. And then also there's another part of my family, which is the Darst family. And Jacob Darst, he died and fought in the Alamo, fought in the Battle of Gonzales too. And there was another Tumlinson that fought in the Alamo. So there's just a lot of history that's in my family.
So between the Darces and Tumlinsons, they all run through the Dick lineage.
Yeah, they do. They both. And actually, my wife she's a relative of the White family, or the LeBlanc family, which was the White Ranch, or the very first Texas ranch. She didn't know about that until we did her DNA as well. And there's actually a monument to James Taylor White, or James Taylor LeBlanc, over in Chambers County. And that was kind of really surprising. So just while it's Texas Independence Day, if somebody's bored, I suggest you do a little history. You might be shocked at what you find, because she had no clue that she was related to one of the original 300s, and I didn't realize I was related to the Tumlinson clan until last year.
If you do the research and find out that you're not related to anyone here, like I won't be because I came here from Connecticut, what happens is that you get enough generations that pass that you are related. You end up being related. For example, most of Europe is actually related to Genghis Khan.
But see, Denise,
most of Europe is related to Genghis Khan.
But see, Denise, one thing is, though you're saying you're certain you aren't related, but you might be surprised you're wrong, because my wife was certain she had no relations to the original 300 in Texas. They were certain. They were before I did the research, they were 99% certain. But what happened? They thought they were all from Louisiana, which is true. But the White Ranch. What they did is they raised cattle in Texas, the first Texas ranch, and they brought the cattle to none other than New Orleans.
That's awesome.
And so is that where the LeBlancs come from? Because LeBlanc is like a French, I guess, New Orleans name.
LeBlanc means white, and so what they did is, instead of using the French word LeBlanc, they just translated it to white. So that's
racist.
Well, it was a different time.
My dad did ask for a 23andMe for his birthday, which is coming up in April. So I will let you know if we come up with anything. But we did actually track our family through Ellis Island. So we're pretty sure when everyone hit the shore here. But you never know what that wild cousin did. So we may have had one, And so
my biggest fear of those things is that when people start uncovering who their relatives really are, people are going to be kind of disappointed to notice that they may have married or had relations with their cousin or their second cousin. And that's just one of those unintended consequences. So make sure if y'all do take these tests, these 23andMe and My Ancestry DNAs, make sure if y'all do discover that y'all are cousins, just leave it as a family secret. don't disclose that. No one will need to know that, and I think your children and the children's children will probably appreciate y'all not ever disclosing that information.
Okay.
And especially in Texas.
This is a really good time to take a break, folks. Just a really good time. We're taking a break, and we're just gonna start a new interview. You can follow us on Facebook at Eric B. Dick, at Twitter at Dick Lawfer, and Instagram at Dick Lawfer. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Some people never shut up. Real talk.
When I had my brother take me places, it was always like, we have to get there early so I can smoke a cigarette before we go inside. I'm pain. I'm a little sister. How can we stop the cigarettes? Exactly. It's true. We get up the first thing. like, I remember recently you asking me, like, did you want to smoke before we go in? And I was like, no, I don't need to.
Maybe make the switch July 2015. Make the switch at Juul.com. That's JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Always on the move, in the car or at the office, working around the house. Americans refuse to sit still. So, with all those moving parts, radio reaches 93% of Americans every week. Facebook, television, and
Hey folks, Michael Berry. If you want a great experience on your next vehicle purchase, classic Chevy Sugarland, go in there and say, Michael Berry said to ask for the skinny guy that runs this place. They'll get Jeff. He's upstairs. He'll come down. They'll take good care of you. Jeff Sebastian, classic Chevy Sugarland.
Okay, guys. We're back for a little bit more on the Eric Dick Show. So it's legislative season. And there's been some bills passed that I think are kind of interesting. One of the bills that was passed is it would require citizenship to purchase auto insurance. What do you think about that, Chris? So you got to be a citizen.
Is this a joke? That's a joke, right?
No, it's a real bill.
Okay, so how stupid is that? We mandate people to carry insurance, but now we're saying you can only be a citizen to have insurance. So you're going to tell me everybody who drives around the city is going to be unprotected if they get hit by someone who doesn't have insurance because they didn't qualify because they're not a citizen.
So you're excluding everybody who's here as a permanent resident. You're excluding everyone who here is on like a student visa studying at one of our universities.
I don't care if somebody jumped over the wall and came here and started driving a car. If they hit me, I want them to have insurance.
I agree with you.
Hey, look,
do they think that this is going to minimize the illegal immigrant population? That, if they're not going to be able to get insurance and they can't get a driver's license, they're just not going to come? I understand legislative intent, but this is just dumb.
Well, maybe they've been smoking some of the pot for the people they're trying to push legalizing marijuana.
Or like the Jeff we had was his name Jeff last week and wanted to legalize prostitution.
Oh boy. But anyway, okay. So if you're gonna call, just I want to give people a heads up. If you're gonna call here, I don't mind people calling. I'm encouraging people to call 713. Was it
212-5950?
Yeah, 713-212-5950. But what you don't do whenever you call in is use your real name and say you committed a crime. That's at least I hope you don't, because I am an attorney. I'm gonna tell you to shut up whenever you're doing stuff like that. That's a really bad idea to do that.
Very bad idea.
So I agree. That is just the dumbest bill you could think of. If anything, we should require more people to have insurance and require a higher minimal amount.
Yeah, if you're not a citizen, you should mandate insurance, but like you said, at a higher amount, because I don't know once you hit me if you're going to stay or flee.
That's right.
But when's the last time we actually looked at the mandatory amounts? I think it's been a while, and costs for medical care and cars have gone up since then.
You're 100% right. The $30,000 minimum is just not enough at all. And if you get hit and actually you get hurt. What I encourage people to do, what I do, is I get PIP, UIM, all that type of stuff. But if you're broke and you get hit, you could really be in a bad situation, especially if you break a bone or you get hurt. And it's pathetic. I don't know why our legislators don't want to do anything about it.
I know why.
Well, I know why too.
I have a feeling it has something to do with TLR.
It probably has a lot to do with...
Somehow it always ties into TLR.
I guess we're going to have to talk about that. About the special interest Texans for lawsuit reform that just don't want... So what's happening, a lot of people don't realize, that is if you get hurt in Texas, let's say you break a bone in Texas, the value of your injury is worth 1/3 of it is in other major cities. Did you know that?
1/3.
1/3. So you are worth 1/3 of a person that's in New York or in Massachusetts or in another major city. You're worth 1/3 of an injury there.
So that means if I break 3 fingers, I can only have 1 repaired?
Pretty.
Is that how we're looking at that?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And in Texas, yes. In other states, you get 3.
I get my 3 fingers
But in
back.
Texas, only 1. Oh, I guess, come on, let's see what Brian has to say.
Come on, Brian.
Brian, you got 2 cars. Come on.
Hey, my problem with the insurance law is last year I had 2 family members had their car totaled by people that did not have insurance, and they weren't in a position to pay any sort of restitution. And I don't understand.
Amen.
If I go to your house and I do $20,000, I get a hammer and I do, break down your front wall and your door and everything else. I do $20,000 worth of damage. I go to jail, right? and I've got to pay you back for any damage I've done.
Amen.
The people that don't carry insurance, I mean, they need to be arrested on the spot. And then they need to be in a position.
But Brian, here's the thing: they can't be arrested on the spot because now the state is wanting to pass a bill that says they're not even allowed to have insurance.
Well, yes, and that's a ridiculous bill. My suggestion is change the bill, and I don't know. I know there's like intent and everything else. If I go smash your door, actually I was intending to smash down your front wall, and an accident is just that, as an accident. But it is beyond frustrating. I had 2 family members, that one's without a car. My mom didn't replace the car.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister had to replace the car because she does a lot of driving around with her job and everything else. So it just frustrates me that somebody can do $10,000-$20,000 worth of damage.
You are so right.
And then not only is somebody do the damage, they're never made whole because their insurance, my sister had gap insurance because this is like a brand new car. So thankfully she had gap insurance and was able to take care of it that way.
Well,
but it's just, I don't know what the
So Brian, are you in favor of this bill or are you opposed to this bill?
Oh, no, that's an absurd bill.
He thinks it don't go far enough. What he's saying is the problem we have is that people don't have insurance and there's no punishment when they don't have insurance. And I agree with you. There should be more people need to have insurance, especially when they're driving. And the limits need to be higher.
Well, they do have it is mandatory in Texas for vehicle drivers to have insurance.
Well, according to the Insurance Information Institute, 1 in 8 drivers in Texas does not have insurance.
Well, just because it's mandated doesn't mean they're following it, Denise.
Right, but I'm thinking about throwing 1 in 8 people in Texas in jail, and I'm wondering who's going to benefit from that.
And look, what are
good point?
What are we supposed to do? It's wrong for people to go around and break other people's stuff, whether it's intentionally or accidental. And some of these times when it happens, it's a lot of money, and people get hurt. It's just wrong. It's
and when they get hurt and they go to
the
the insurance to cover their injuries, even if it's a first party, Dick, are they going to pay?
No, they aren't going to pay. But at least if the other person had insurance, at least they'd have tickets to the fight. Here, they're left out in the cold. They don't got nothing. All they're told to do is, yeah, you broke your arm. Yeah, you're hurt. Too bad. So sad. Go call your dad. That's what they're told. And it's sad. What I'm disappointed in is our state legislators. They don't care.
Do we know who introduced this bill?
I guess I could look it up.
I mean, that's just silly. Who entered?
I'm curious though, because Houston's not known for having great public transportation. I mean, they've tried to do these patchwork fixes.
No,
but they're not. But how much? If we had better public transportation, I'm wondering if we would have fewer uninsured motorists because they don't want to take the risk out there.
Then hold on. First of all,
Bill Zedler, a Republican from Arlington. I told you I was embarrassed. I didn't even want to look.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me. It's Arlington. But Denise, I got it. We got to correct some things. I mean, this is a world-class city, Houston, Texas, and we have the greatest city council and the mayor that we've ever known to man. And they have gone leaps and bounds to make sure we had a flawless infrastructure system. Are you saying that it has flaws in it?
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Well, if we're going to talk about the city, we might as well say that Tony Busby, he's having a rally today, and it's at his new campaign headquarters. It's going on right now. That's why Tony couldn't come today.
Oh, is he? I thought he was just having some type of meeting. I didn't know it was a big rally.
Tony Busby can't be on today. I know some people are going to be upset. It's the Eric Dick show, but what they really do is they hang around. They tolerate me.
They join us for the first hour, and then they wait to see what Tony says the second hour. But there will be no Tony today in the second hour. But he did want us to say thank you for all the listeners that come in and show support for listening to him. And he has a rally today, but he's also going to have something on March 24th at Redneck Country Club. I believe it's a reception or a first responders event, welcome, thank you barbecue dinner over there. So that's going to be the Redneck Country Club, March 24th. So.
And that is going to be just a phenomenal event. If we're going to start talking about that, when I say phenomenal event, you've got live music, right? You've got beverages, you've got food. It's a family event, and it's going to be a good, solid, great time. Sunday, 4 p.m., you go to church, you do your church. You get your church in. Then after you're done, you go sneak over at the Redneck Country Club, bring your kiddos, bring your wife, and y'all just have a good time. And that's what Tony Busby's about. He is the real deal, folks. I'm not playing. Tony has not paid me a dime. He hadn't paid me a dime to say anything.
But will he fix Denise's infrastructure problems?
If it can be fixed, he will try
we're talking
very
about
hard.
potholes, and that's kind of infrastructure. But you make a good point, because there's been, and I say that tongue-in-cheek about the city council and the mayor, but going past the Turner administration, back to Denise Parker's administration, even before then, there's been billions, not millions, but billions of dollars invested in the metro and the rail line. And it seems like it's just a never-ending mess. You can't ever have a consistent ridership program. Nothing they do works to get more people signed up. Then they try to discourage people from going into the city and catching the bus because they want to, tax you to death or feed you to death with all the parking meters down there. What's it going to take in the city of Houston to get people riding Metro, Denise?
I think you have to really look at cities like New York and Chicago. I grew up.
They have a subway, though.
They have a subway, but I grew up in the suburbs of New York City in Connecticut, and my dad took the train every morning, 50 minutes in, and then he was able to walk from the central location to his main office building. Now, it's a little bit different here. The geographical centers for business are a little bit more spread out, but that doesn't mean they still can't be served with something that's properly planned, whether it's a combination of rail and bus. But it takes commitment not just on the city level, but the county level, because you got two organizations here that play this push me, pull you game every time the transportation comes up.
Well, I think the real big thing with rail is you cannot spend, a crazy amount per inch. If I remember right, it was like $30,000 per inch of rail, or it might have been more than that. Like the cost we were spending
per inch,
it was just
ridiculous.
Foot. No, I think it was per inch.
Wow.
I think it was at least a few $1,000s per inch. I think it was like $30,000 per inch.
$30,000 per inch.
I'm telling you, the cost, and the reason the cost is so high is straight up because it's really what's happening is money's being funneled to other interests. It's just the corruption. All
the money tied in. It's federal money, it's local money, it's TxDOT money. All that money gets mixed in and intermingled to try to build one link from A to B, and that covers maybe 2 blocks.
Yeah, but the cost is just way too much. We need to, if we're going to do, and I am not against rail. I am for rail if we can get it at a good price. I think rail could be really cool. I think it's a great idea. But we cannot pay absorbent amounts for it. It has to be, reasonable.
And I think that's a consensus among the city. It's not that people are objectively opposed to having, more transportation options, because everybody, especially in the nighttime, would like to go out, have a great time, and not have to worry about driving anywhere, and not always be held into, Uber, Lyft, or the taxi industry. So having mass transportation is not a bad thing. Having it at an exorbitant cost and having a constant traffic jams and construction and build out is what's been the problem over the last 25 years in this city. I mean, there's no end in sight. When we see what's going on right now, just right here behind us over on Post Oak, they shut down parts of 610 to try to build this bus lane that's supposed to be the most pioneer thing ever. It's going to drop you through and just keep on going through the Galleria. Is it going to work? I don't know. I mean, that goes back to the question, what's it going to take for people to have a buy-in to want to have ridership increase and go up?
We're going to talk more about that just in a few, guys. The Eric Dick Show. You can follow us live on Facebook at Eric B. Dick, and also at Dick Law Firm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. See you guys in a few.
Pumpkin spice everything.
Oh, you want Real spicy talk.
Everybody will tell you that they can paint, but not everybody is a professional. But CertaPro, they are professionals. It's what they do. They're good at it, really good. And there's a difference in a project they do and a project someone does that's not a professional. Call the professionals so it looks professional. CertaPro, CertaPro.com. 1-800-GO-CERTA. 1-800-GO-CERTA.
Each CertaPro painter's business independently owned and operated.
May not be stomach issues. For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms but could never figure it out. No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
To get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of the symptoms. Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the practice of care. Brought to you by AbbVie.
When you get home, Alexa, play KPRC on iHeartRadio.
I said $30,000 per inch. Yeah. It's not $30,000 per inch. It's $3,000 per inch. I was a little off, and I know that's about the right price Stormy Daniels charges. I understand.
Stealing the joke.
The
joke.
It was a good joke.
Well, I'm a lawyer. That's what I learned after law school. It's not a plagiarism. It's just a sign.
You just got to cite the source.
Yeah.
It's never plagiarism if you cite the source.
Well, and actually practicing law, I don't even know that there's such thing as plagiarism because people copy and paste other people's motions all the time.
I don't think anyone's written an original motion in 183 years.
I actually wrote an original one yesterday because a pleading I had to respond to was just so frivolous on its face, it was offensive. So in my motion for sanctions, I had to go original on this one. So that's some comfort that there is some originality that does take place. But other than that, I agree. I don't know the last time I used an original form.
Anyway, okay. So where were we at when we last?
We were talking about Texas legislation and the updates and some of these crazy bills being filed, and one of them being this mandatory. Exclusion of non-citizens in insurance coverage.
Okay.
What else do we have coming out?
Okay, so another thing is lawmakers need to decide the nature of TWIA, Texas Windstorm Insurance. This is what the Sunset Commission says. It says, are we going to turn this thing? Are we going to try to let it go on without state support and let it just raise its premiums if it needs to? Or are we going to let it be a true insurance company that derives funding from, premium dollars? I think we shouldn't. I don't think Texas should be in the business of having insurance. I think Texas TWIA is a horrible insurance company. I think if you have TWIA, you're making a big giant mistake, and you need to immediately call your insurance agent and try to get another insurance company.
Now is TWIA the same as Texas Fair Plan to where they're the insurance of last resort?
Texas Fair Plan, no. TWIA is something different than Texas Fair Plan.
Okay.
TWIA, the law has been carved out where basically they take your money and they don't really have to pay anything.
Wow.
And then if you do want to fight them, it's really nasty, and they usually get away with anything they want. Hey, Google it, look it up in the news. What happened? The last set fact pattern is, they have their original adjusters come out they're biased, but they're not like just insanely biased. They say, it's like $80,000 to fix the place. And this is something that's really about like $160,000. So then they're like, oh, hold on, $80,000. I don't know about that. Then they get building experts to come in that no one uses these building experts except for TWIA. And then they say, oh, no, we said $80,000. No, you can get Chuck in the truck. You can get him to, go get some illegal immigrants.
Non-insurance Chuck in the truck.
Non-insurance Chuck in the truck to go get some people, that are illegal. You could do that, and it'll cost you $20,000. So we're only going to pay you. We aren't going to pay you the $80,000 that we said from just a low bid offer, we're going to just say $20,000, which is the lowest we could even think of.
Man, I'm starting to see a lot of connections here. So we have TWIA mixed in with TLR, and then I see cheap labor and the encouragement of cheap labor, which also happens to build homes. Is it no wonder that we always see Dick Weekly as one of the major contributors of TLR and funding them?
I think you're making some legitimate points, Chris. I think these are just legitimate questions.
So are home builders buying and paying for Texas legislation to make sure they continue to have cheap labor and maximizing profits?
I don't know. These are good, legitimate questions.
Denise, what do you think?
They are good questions. I am also guessing that he's not going to be behind the uninsured motorist if you're not a U.S. citizen claim, because he's got to get his guys to work. But
he doesn't want to have to pay for insurance for him, so maybe he is.
And I do hear this in mediation from some insurance adjusters that, you just go on Craigslist and hire a guy. And you should not be going on Craigslist and hiring, what did you say, Chuck in a truck? I love that.
Chuck in a truck.
Chuck in a truck. Don't hire Chuck in a truck. You're entitled to have good workmanship-like construction on your home.
And the reason for that is, let's say they do bad. Let's say, I'll give you a fact scenario I've seen where, your house catches on fire and, your insurance company, they lowball you, but they pay you enough to do the work kind of on the low side. They pay you like, the house is completely destroyed. They pay you the majority of your policy, like $100 instead of like $160,000. The contractor says, okay, I can do it for this. What they do is, instead of actually replacing all the wood, they use the burnt wood. They don't get permits, right?
Chuck does this?
This is what this is just so it's someone that they hired. This is just a fact scenario I've seen, right? So, but my whole point is, whenever you get into that type of situation and you're going to have to sue them, you at least want somebody that has liability insurance. Like literally has liability insurance, not just gives you a bogus policy. So if you're doing work on your house, which you want to do whenever you hire them, you say, hey, do you have liability insurance? They're going to say yes. You say, can I see a copy? They're going to say yes. Then you want to call that 1-800 number and verify that they actually have insurance at that time period, right? And the reason you want to do that is in case you have to sue them, that you at least know they have some type of liability insurance. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting a judgment against somebody, and you're never going to get paid, and you're going to be, so sad. You call your dad. Too bad.
SOL on that one, huh?
SOL.
Now, and if they hire a general, or if you hire a general contractor, they should insure everybody that comes underneath them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if they hire somebody that doesn't have insurance, they're covered under their umbrella. So it's always make sure that you have the first person you hire has that general liability.
Now, what they'll try to do is they'll try to argue that they're independent contractors, that they're not liable for it. But then that's an easier fight than just them not. If they don't have any insurance, again, you don't really have tickets to the fight. Insurance is tickets to the fight, folks. You always want either someone to have insurance if they hurt you, or you want to have insurance in case something goes wrong. You have insurance in your home, and I'm not saying these insurance companies will treat you fair, because they generally won't. But you at least want tickets to the fight. You don't even have a chance at hope. You don't have a chance of getting things equal unless you're either independently wealthy or you have insurance. I don't mean to be anything with that, but it's important you get insurance. And don't just fall into the idea that name brands are the best insurance companies out there, because they are not. The name brands are the first one that are going to throw you under the bus, because they got the most money to throw you under the bus.
Because they got to pay the little lizard or the little gecko running around. They got to save money for marketing. They can't afford to pay out all these claims, Dick.
Well, that's right. They'd rather spend their money on convincing you through the TV, through advertisement, why to get their services. They'd rather spend their money, bribing the state legislature. They'd rather spend their money filling the pockets of Dick Weekly so he can live in River Oaks. You wonder why somebody